give him credit. Jay Glazer got his hands on the tape. If you didn't see this as part of the NFL pregame show, and if you haven't seen it on social media yet, we are going to play this for you. There's been a lot of talk about why the Patriots were recording the Bengals sideline, what exactly was going on there, and the fact that they got caught by the NFL and Bengals security. What we haven't been able to see is any of the footage so far, and they showed a substantial portion of this and discussed it on the NFL on Fox Sunday kickoff show. But before we get to discussion here, I'm going to tell you all my thoughts about it. I want to play for you the audio that aired on Fox in their pregame show. Here it is. Listen now.
Some people are calling what happened this week Spygate 2. New England had a videographer following around a guy as part of their website series, Do Your Job. It was an advanced scout who was at the Cleveland-Cincinnati game. He was credentialed. He was in the press box in front of everyone. But he was supposed to be shooting the advanced scout, and apparently there's more to it than that.
Right. There's a confrontation there with the Bengals and that Patriots employee. And I want to show right now we have exclusive footage of this confrontation. And you see right here the Bengals, their security guys actually filming what the Patriots are filming. And that was their sideline, their substitution. There's actually 8 minutes of this on the tape. But this is where things take a turn for the Patriots.
And this is a piece you're filming on your advanced scout?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, guys. I don't see the advanced scout in this footage.
No, it's not. We were trying to get some field perspective. My bad.
That's not the field.
Believe that. That's
why you would think you could take that.
I didn't know. How do you know? I didn't know. Sorry. But I can delete this right here for you.
Damage is done, my friend.
No, it isn't, because we deleted it.
Once it gets deleted,
it's gone. 22 yards line, 29 yards on the punt.
I can't
They
get that.
returned 29 yards.
There's no way I can get that footage back. I'm being honest with you. And I don't have a computer to even put it anywhere. Once this card's, that's it.
Yeah, I don't see the advanced scout in any of this video they're shooting.
So Bengals security immediately brought over NFL security, and that was immediately given to the league office. And as a result, yes, they're launching a big investigation. This week at the league meetings, Commissioner Goodell and Troy Vincent both addressed it. Obviously, intent is huge.
Yeah. All right, now I know a lot of times when we hear this audio, it's sometimes difficult to tell exactly what's being said because everybody's got different quality of audio and everything else. So there's a transcript that's out there. And here's an exchange in case you're wondering. The Bengals security approaches the Patriots film crew and says, this is a piece you're filming on your advanced scout. And you can hear the Patriots video crew say, yeah. And then the Bengals security guy says, yeah, come on, guys. I don't see the advanced scout in this footage. Patriots video crew comes back, no, that's not. We were trying to get some field perspective. That's my bad. And then you hear the Patriots crew offer to delete the video. And the Bengals security guard says, the damage is done, my friend, which is really kind of funny in general. Now, the thing here is, first of all, when the Patriots agree to delete the video immediately, that's not something you do, in my opinion, if you think you haven't done anything wrong, right? Use every scintilla of analysis that you usually have. If you have done nothing wrong, do you immediately agree to delete all the evidence? This is like when you're a lawyer, if somebody says, oh, well, I used to have my phone or my laptop, then you're like, well, what happened to it? And you're like, well, I smashed it with a hammer. Like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. That doesn't seem like the thing that a normal person would do, right? When you decide to get a new phone, how many of you take it out and smash it with a hammer and throw it in a lake? Not very many people. So anytime somebody's like this happens every now and then in legal cases, you'll hear somebody say, well, I used to have that phone. Well, can we look at it and see what no, I don't have it anymore. Where is it? Well, I smashed it with a hammer and then I threw it into the deepest lake near my house. That doesn't really, I don't know. That doesn't really seem like the way that most people dispose of their old phones. Somebody's like, yeah, Jimmy over in accounting, he's had the same laptop for a long time. Maybe we should check and see what Jimmy from accounting's got. If we've got some embezzlement going on, maybe Jimmy's laptop has got some records that could help us. If you show up at Jimmy's and you say, hey, Jimmy, we're interested in looking at your laptop, and Jimmy says, well, that was a funny thing, I lost my laptop. And by lost it, you mean that you destroyed it with a hammer and threw it in a lake? Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. It's like when Tom Brady wouldn't turn over his phone. Yeah, there's probably some stuff on there that is a major issue. And I don't blame you if you don't turn over your phone or you don't turn over your laptop. But I don't think you can blame anybody else for saying, yeah, there's probably some shady stuff that was going on there. And that's even doubled even more when it's the Patriots who have been on the edge of the rules for so long. And this is crazy. But even in the NFL in Week 15, with all of the games that are going on, the Patriots and this video is of massive interest out there. So I'm going to put up a poll question. It's up there right now. You can go vote in it. Do you believe the Patriots are innocent in the way that they were recording the Bengals? Now, look, the Patriots went out and they won by 21 points over the Bengals. The game was, in the second half, not particularly close. Close in the first half, not particularly close after that. But we've just seen so many stories like this where the Patriots expect for you to believe that they didn't do anything wrong and that maybe things just look bad and that Bill Belichick doesn't know anything about it and that Robert Kraft doesn't know anything about it. When I hear that audio, it makes the Patriots, to me, look so much more guilty. Because when your first response, when somebody catches you doing something that looks inappropriate, is to say, hey, how about we just delete it and we'll pretend this never happened? That's not the actions that an innocent person undertakes. Now, I'm not an expert in scouting. Far from it. So certainly the Patriots' defense can be, look, they didn't get anything that you wouldn't ordinarily get from an all 22 feet of the game. And if you're not familiar with the idea of the all 22 feet, it's the eye in the sky. It allows you to see where everybody is lined up in a way you don't really see watching a game on television, because we follow the ball as opposed to the overall field view. So certainly that's the defense the Patriots should offer, and that's a defense I might believe if it were being offered by any other team in the league. But after the Spygate 1, and after Deflategate, and after all the other on the edge of acceptability behaviors by the Patriots, I'm just not inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt here. And I think probably most of you are not inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt either. And so that's where I believe the NFL's got a mess on its hands. Because I don't know that the NFL can do anything that actually makes people feel like the Patriots are being punished. Because people now are saying, oh, the NFL, maybe they're going to fine the Patriots. Fining rich dudes is the stupidest penalty on the planet. I'm not that rich, but if you tell me that I have to give a few $1,000s to charity and I am a billionaire like Robert Kraft, I'm basically laughing at you. You could maybe take away some draft picks, but even then, it's an egregious penalty that I don't think gets to the essence that people feel like, oh, that's fair. Certainly, you need to do something more than fine the Patriots, because all you're doing is giving Robert Kraft a charitable deduction then. Oh, we're going to fine the Patriots $2 million. Big deal. That's like you or me getting hit with a $20 fine. It's like a library fee. If they still have those, when you don't return your library book in time, that's what that is to the Patriots. So the Patriots just kind of laugh at it. It's kind of like the cost of doing business. Fining rich people is not in any way an adequate punishment, because rich people are really rich. Giving away a little bit of money and getting a tax deduction on it is no big deal. They're paying 40% nearly on that income anyway. In terms of taxes, you're just letting them get a big tax write-off. And they end up getting a reward for giving away the money. I guarantee you Robert Kraft will give away that money and then he'll get named man of the year by some organization because he gave away the money. There's no actual punishment there. The only way to actually hit the Patriots is with draft picks, and even then, it's so far down the line that the likely impact of it is not going to be that substantial. So I just feel like the NFL doesn't have any good options here because it makes the Patriots look shady. Now, the best thing that could happen is the Patriots could go out and they could lose early in the playoffs, so this doesn't remain a story. Because if they keep winning, it's going to remain a story. Everybody's going to be sitting around talking about the fact that the Patriots were able to get away with things again. And I understand the Patriots are a great dynasty. I don't particularly root against them at this point in time. I enjoy watching excellence, and I believe Tom Brady is now the greatest quarterback of all time, paired with the greatest coach of all time. And that the debate is actually now moved into who is more important for the Patriot dynasty, Brady or Belichick. And so Brady's not involved here at all. I think there's a small argument that Belichick could be involved. And I do think that we need more knowledge of this situation, and we need a thorough investigation. And I don't really care about this videographer who you could hear in the audio essentially like giving up as soon as he started getting questioned. It's like, it's like the easiest interrogation of all time. I want to know if he'll give up anybody else in the Patriots organization that might have wanted this footage. And I want to hear from guys who are astute at breaking down film about whether or not there's any particular gain here. But I think it's pretty clear that the Patriots went beyond the bounds of what they were supposed to be doing when they were in the Bengals press box. Whether the team actually was able to benefit from anything that they recorded, I have significant doubts on. But again, this is me putting on my lawyer hat. When the guy immediately squeals and effectively gives up the moment you put the least little bit of pressure on him and says, I'll delete it all, we'll never have it again. How often do you offer to delete something that wasn't appropriate, that was appropriate off your phone or off your camera? If you question whether somebody was doing something they shouldn't have been doing, if their first thing when you approach them is, I'll take it off my phone, they were up to something, right? Just think about this in your own life. If your kids are on their iPad or their cell phone and you walk in and you surprise them, and the first thing they say is, I'll delete it, before you even know what they were looking at, you caught them in something. This is funny. When I was in law school, we used to have a crim law professor. And he said, you know what? A lot of people talk about what an unreasonable search and seizure is. It's a big topic in criminal law, whether or not you were unreasonably searched. And it matters because the evidence on an unreasonable search is not admissible in court. He said, I got a test for you. He said, I want every single one of you to stand up right now and back away from your laptops. Everybody in law school class got their laptops open. Everybody stands up, backs away from their laptops. He says, how nervous are y'all right now about what I might see on your computer screens as I walk around this classroom? He said, the ones of you I know that were doing the worst stuff, I got you on film here. You were the ones that got away from your computers the slowest. You were closing out at some screens in a hurry. I don't know what y'all were up to, but I know that you got nervous in a hurry. You guys are the ones who are most guilty here. I don't even need to walk around and look at all your laptops. And his point was, and this goes for a lot of you who've been in college in a laptop era, maybe you have them in high school, certainly you have them in grad school. Computers are great distractors. Supposed to be paying attention to the professor, the teacher. Reality is people are setting their fantasy football lineups. They're sending emails. They're buying stuff on Amazon. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that isn't normal within the educational framework. The people who stayed there the longest, Xing out stuff, were doing stuff the most. That, I think, is a really good way to explain unreasonable searches, but it's also a good way to figure out who was guilty. And I got to be honest with you. You listen to that audio, that Patriot videographer is guilty. He knows he wasn't behaving appropriately. Knows it beyond a shadow of a doubt. So what do you do to the Patriots? I mean, I think that's the biggest challenge here as you kind of look down the line. What's an appropriate punishment here? Because we just talked about in the open of hour 2. I'm like, look, if they fine Robert Kraft or the Patriots organization, it's a drop in the bucket. The fine is never significant enough if you're already rich and your organization is worth billions of dollars and your owner is worth billions of dollars. So what? And even if they dock them some draft picks, I don't even feel like that's that substantial of a penalty because it feels like the Patriots are on their last legs with Tom Brady anyway. And so I feel like the Patriots are going to get away without any kind of very substantial penalty here. And that doesn't feel right to me because I feel like they're guilty. And I feel like even if it's not gaining much of a competitive advantage, it's just further evidence that they don't respect the NFL, because if you had been caught cheating a couple of times, like I think it's fair to say they were with Spygate. These are just the things that we know about, by the way. Like I think it's fair to say they were with Deflategate. Something like the other shoe has to drop at some point. There has to be some sort of consequence, and I don't know what the NFL can do that's consequential enough to make me feel like the Patriots have paid an adequate price. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, Danny, like, what would you do? I mean, a fine isn't enough, and I feel like that's probably the most likely outcome, and I don't even feel like it does anything to the Patriots. Like, what is the appropriate penalty here? Even draft picks, which I think makes more sense, doesn't feel like it's that substantial of a penalty because where the Patriots are drafting is always so late in the first round, and I don't even think they'll take away their first-round picks. Like, what would you do if you were Roger Goodell?
Yeah, you're right. They print money, so that combined $750,000 fine between the Patriots and Belichick over Spygate, it doesn't.
It's a rounding error. It's also, again, you get the deduction on your taxes. It's just a charitable donation, so it's not even like it actually makes you out to be a fairly decent guy. And a lot of times you can choose the charity that you're giving money to. Like, I mean, it isn't even a real punishment.
And what's the comp? A normal person, is that like a $1,700
That's
fine
what I'm saying.
in our line?
No, a normal. Yeah. That's like it's like a $17 fine. It's like a library book return fine. If you're a billionaire and you get fined $750,000, I mean, I'm not even kidding about that. It is totally a rounding error on your overall net worth.
Well, I can't wait to hear Rob Parker in the early evening on our network. He's the ultimate Patriot hater. He's going to probably ask for Belichick to be suspended for multiple games, and I think that's what we're going to hear on the radio and on TV today, is there's going to be some in the media asking for Belichick to have to sit out.
Now, that's an interesting thing. Now, the real, like, Roger Goodell swinging the hammer would be Belichick suspended from the postseason. Like that, okay, that's where I would take a step back and I would say, whoa. Like, you are not letting Bill Belichick.
I don't think that would happen.
I don't think it'll happen either, but that might be a good example. Like, if you suspended Bill Belichick for the postseason, that would be a substantial hit. Like, even if you gave him a Brady-like suspension, Belichick's not able to coach the first 4 games of 2020 or whatever the heck it is next year, I don't even feel like that would be a very substantial penalty because the Patriots would have a ton of time to get ready for it. I think if suddenly he weren't allowed to coach in the postseason, that would, but I don't think there's any sort of precedent for a penalty like that ever being levied. But that's an interesting one. Dub, what would you do?
Well, that's an interesting idea, and it's something that came to my mind when you were talking about, fining him, dollar amounts is nothing, basically. It's a rounding error. If you want to get where it really hurts, suspend people. Suspend Robert Kraft again for a few games. Suspend Belichick. I feel like that's the only way that will actually hurt the Patriots and make them feel like a real punishment, because there's other stuff, a third-round draft pick, a fourth-round draft pick, $750,000. That's just getting away with it for them.
I agree. I mean, I just don't think there's any kind of substantive penalty that is actually of a draconian nature that makes them change their behavior. And I think that's the challenge. These are the things that we know about, right? You never, and this is always like me putting on my lawyer hat but doing criminal law, most of the time when people break the law, you don't get caught most of the time the first time that you break the law, right? Usually you get away with doing criminal acts for a while sometimes before you get caught. It's very rare that the first time somebody is completely law-abiding, they've never done anything wrong in their entire life, and then boom, they do something and they get caught. What I'm getting at here is if we know about Spygate, and if we now know about potentially Spygate 2, and if we know about Deflategate, how many other borderline on the rules or past the rules moves are the Patriots undertaking? And again, I think what's significant about this video, and we played it for you in hour 1, maybe we'll play it for you again in hour 3 if you didn't hear it, is we're not talking about an organization that's never done anything wrong. We're talking about an organization that is perpetually in the wrong, and they're in the wrong again here. And I just think it's impossible to give them a pass.